the restaurant industry was facing a sustainability issue.
How so? Like prior to this?
Yeah, I think with prior to this, the restaurant industry was not existing in a sustainable manner.
Okay.
I think a lot of restaurants were, even probably ones that we all know, were probably struggling to make the bottom line work,
right?
With labor laws changing and minimum wage increasing, which I think are good things. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not against those things, but all of the labor laws and the minimum wage laws don't factor in how, the restaurant industry's financial models work, So I think we were facing this issue of like, how is this business going? How is this industry going to continue to like thrive and flourish and make money for people? Most of us restaurateurs and chefs, like, we are like blue collar people. We are not rolling in money. We have to live within a budget, and this issue, this pandemic is just, it's just exacerbating that problem even more.
And you've been in the restaurant industry for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you get into it?
I started a food truck in 2011 when I was 26 called Old Dixie's, with my former partner, Jen. And we had this like kind of Southern, like chicken and biscuits concept. And we sold food at farmers markets and whatnot. And that turned into Welcome Diner over time. I developed a relationship with the original founder of Welcome Diner, Sloan. And then we struck a deal to open up the diner at 10th Street in Roosevelt in 2012. So I opened that up in February 2012. And that turned into a second concept called Chicken and Donuts on 16th Street in Buckeye that I opened a year and a half later. And then we opened up Welcome Diner Tucson in October 2016, I think. Okay. I can't remember.
Did you have an interest in food before you got into the food industry?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was like in high school. I'm 34. In high school, I was like glued to Food Network when it wasn't like a very cool thing to be watching. Right. Like it was kind of dorky. And like I loved, I was watching like the imported Iron Chef that was like all in Japanese. And
I have a sister that's 9 years older than me. And she used to watch that show all the time. So I, by way of association, obviously was watching it too. So
yeah, like food and music has kind of just been like my life, like has ever since I can remember. I mean, I was, my first job, I was 16 and I worked at just a shitty diner in Glendale.
Right.
And that kind of like got me hooked immediately. Like I remember getting my like ass handed to me, as they say, like my first Friday night there.
Yeah.
And the lead cook like walked out. There was only ever two cooks, right? Right. So I was the 16-year-old that was just cooking French fries, and all of a sudden there's 30 orders and it was just me. I had to figure out how to like cook all these hamburgers, and I never even worked on a flat top before.
Right.
And it just was like wrecked, and it was chaos. And
you like talk about a crash course.
Yeah. And then like I made it through, and eventually another manager showed up a couple hours later. But like that chaos and frenetic energy was like addicting. My life growing up was already chaotic. So I think I I just sort of thrived in that environment.
Right.
And then that kind of like struck the bug, and just like being into restaurants and restaurant culture. And I started like cooking at home a bunch. Like I would make like lasagna from scratch. Like I would make my mom buy me a bottle of wine so I could make, the bolognese. I'd make my own bechamel, I'd roll out the pasta, I'd make a freaking mess of the whole kitchen, And
that was just for fun.
Yeah, that was just because
I get interested in it.
I wanted to, like go through that process of taking like a bunch of random raw products and like turning it into, something complete.